So the final thing here, we're going to add noun class in the verb inflection. So the good news is that we added it already to the VP because we had it in the AP adjectives, and a VP can come from adjectives. So that's why we have all of our VPs have now an inflection table already. But the thing is just that if it comes from V or V2, so intransitive or transitive verb, it's just like it's just the same form in all branches of the table. But so now this means that now added in the verb inflection, we really only need to change the lexical categories. So let's do it for both sides like this. Move them to the inflection table side. Now you see there is not very many functions anymore that have just this simple string type. Okay, now you know what to do. Let's see what errors we get, and then what do we need to do to fix them, or where do we need to fix them. So okay, so it's complaining about use v and compl v2. Let's see. So now, right, last time we actually had to add just like a dummy inflection table in here, because at that point v was just a simple string and vp was an inflection table. But this actually, like, now we need to undo all this hard work that we did. We can just, because v.s is already an inflection table, so we can remove these things here. It disappeared. But so, like, let's think a bit. Like, what does this syntax mean? We construct a record which has the s field that is the same as the s field of the v. But like, if you remember how this function looked like before we started anything, it was actually just this. Like, it's just identical. You can see here, v, vp, they all have the same linkup. And this stage, like, this is not adding anything, so we can just really, like, it's an identity function basically. It's just returns the same thing that it gets. So we can keep it also like this, and yeah, we don't get a new error, so that's all is good. So now in contrast, we have compl v2 here, and now we do need to change a little bit of things here. So like in this case, in the case of just single v, we didn't need to add any new strings, so we could just keep it intact. But here we actually do need to add the string from the noun phrase, the object. And so this syntax, concatenation, was just fine when this s field was a string and this s field was a string. But now this v2.s is no longer a string. It's an inflection table. But, well, we've done this a couple of times before already, so we just need to select the right class from there to make it into a string. And we do this with exclamation mark and that variable here. So again, like, just to remind you, we could also say class 1 and class 2. This would be completely fine. Oops. This would be the right syntax. Let's, oh. Okay. These are new errors, but I mean, this is like, this syntax is just interchangeable with this. Just call it a variable. Okay, but now I jumped a bit ahead, and we got a bunch of errors in the lexical categories. So now we need to tackle those. So I added a bit of lexicon while you were not watching. But anyway, they are all using the constructors mkv and mkv2. And so we have done the same thing for these things before, so there is no surprises here. Especially the most interesting part is what we did for mka. So let's start by... So first we see the return type. It needs to be noun class to string in both cases. And then this needs to be a table. We can actually just, honestly, we can just copy and paste this thing here, because now they're going to be exactly the same. So instead of a, let's also change the name of this variable. Let's call it verb. And now we've finished mkv. And we could honestly just do the same for mkv2. We could actually even write this mkv2 equals mkv. Let's see. Yeah, so we see this works at the moment. But okay, maybe we want to do something a bit more interesting, because, you know, we could also do this. Let's comment out this bit here in the last line and say mkv equals mka. Okay, does this compile? Yes, still compiles. Okay, so like just to prevent, like, let's not make this so simple that it's completely boring. Let's add a bit more things, like let's add some tags here, since like this is not for any actual language. This is just for like tags or glosses. So let's put dot edge dot class 1, and here dot edge dot class 2. And here instead we could do, let's do the same, dot verb dot class 1 class 2. And now let's also do the same here, but just call it verb2, for like, just to make create some difference in this extremely boring grammar otherwise. Yeah, okay, still working. Great, so now I think let's just generate some sentences and see how they look like. Yes, so the bad bike buy they. And so the important part, we have agreement here. Bad is in class 1 and buy is in class 1. So if we wanted to have this, like, if we wanted to change the noun here, let's just parse this so we see. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, okay, it's both singular and plural because there is no difference here. But let's just take this parse. Okay. So bike N was of class 1, so we have the tree here. But let's replace bike with something else, like apple, maybe. Yes, so now we see the bad class 2 apple, by class 2 they. And so that's pretty much it. We can also look at the we can look at some single, like intransitive verb. So let's generate subject question mark and then use v question mark. So they come. Let's see, tree bank. Okay, let's take a shorter one. Yes, okay. So here we had, no, where did it disappear? Yes, the car go. Class 1, and the apple go class 2. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, now that's actually it, the whole thing. Like, this is what we had to change in this grammar to make everything is just simple strings, except that nouns have gender.